Hi guys, how's it going? Sean Ferrick here for Who Culture, and I am coming to you with all the ups and downs for the first episode of Doctor Who Season 13, Flux. Now, just really quickly, here's how this is going to work. We're going to go through the episode, give everything that we liked an up, and give everything that we didn't like a down. So, without much further ado, let's take on Episode 1, the Halloween Apocalypse. Now, the cold open of this episode sees the Doctor and Yaz suspended over a boiling lake of acid on a planet that's going to explode within about 4 minutes. They have been trussed up by the Carvanista, a new character who's been introduced in this episode, and quite frankly, I'm giving this an up because it's just, there's some really perfect line delivery going on, but particularly when the Doctor turns around to Yaz and goes, "You know what, Yaz, I can't help feeling that some of this is my fault." I had a proper snort and a laugh, especially when Yaz turns around and says, no, Doctor, it's all entirely your fault. It's more and more of this fun back and forth between Mandip Gill and Jodie Whittaker. They have a really great banter and back and forth between them. Also, this just looks like a really nicely stunning set of visuals now. Now, we then get a flashback scene, or, well, we move across time. We go to Liverpool in the 19th century, where there's a whole bunch of tunnels being dug, and it's all very industrial and cool. And having said that, my first down of the episode is that this site foreman leader is clearly bonkers, and everyone just seems to be fine with that. We can tell that he is under some sort of higher true purpose, because he literally says, if I was to tell you my true purpose, your brain wouldn't be able to take it. And okay, sure, but if that's how he's presenting himself and that's how he gets funding for his jobs, I mean, like, shouldn't all of us get funding for everything? It just stuck out a little bit. It was just like, this guy's clearly nuts. Totally understandable they're setting up a mystery, but for me there was too much of a question as to why he's allowed to do anything, as opposed to what is he actually doing. This episode, of course, introduces us to Dan Lewis, who's played by John Bishop, and straight away, up. Dan is so incredibly likable for this entire episode. He's clearly a bit of a down on his luck, but gold-hearted man. He's working at food banks, he's giving free tours of the Liverpool Museum. It's just, he's so endearing. And, you know, when he goes home and, you know, the trick-or-treaters turns up, random bloke drinking a beer, carrying some eggs turns up, and, you know, he's both stern, but he's nice about it. He's like, you know, clear off, don't egg my house. And, you know, his poor house couldn't really take an egging. There's nothing in it. It was so immediately, I was just like, no, I like him. I want him to be okay, he's cool, let's make sure that he's alright. So when Carvanista bursts through his door and, you know, he's there like, I will take you, and Dan's for the whole time like, you know, oh man, your mask is really good. I mean, don't break into people's houses, but this is really good, it's cute. It was just so easy to be like, yep, I want Dan to be okay. If the next 6 episodes of Doctor Who are just about making sure Dan's okay, I will declare this season good. We're introduced to our villain, Swarm, and he is being held in some sort of maximum security detention centre, being checked on by a couple of prison guards. Of course, it goes about as well as you'd expect. You know, the Swarm is quite intimidating looking, like he's pretty scary looking. But also, once he very quickly breaks out of his cell and disintegrates the 2 prison officers, he is genuinely unsettling. I actually found myself, I was really creeped out watching his scenes, and this is all being beamed directly into the Doctor's head. So there is a moment which is technically breaking the 4th wall when the Swarm looks directly at the camera and says, "Trick or treat, Doctor," sort of thrown in to remind us that no, we're watching a TV show, but that is directly to the audience. It was quite frightening, quite unsettling, and I'm gonna give that one an up. This villain looks like someone who, yeah, I think all going well, if they stick the landing with this one, this could be one of the great villains of Doctor Who. Now, there was just one thing though. So he says trick or treat to the Doctor into her mind, yeah, and so the Doctor then is diverted back toward Earth where, you know, she says to Mandip, hey, you know, it's Halloween. And Yaz turns around and goes, Halloween, trick or treat. And it's really awkward and it's really weird and it's a down from me. Like if someone says the word Halloween to me, I don't automatically say trick or treat. I might be like, you know, good film. Yeah, that one, it was a little bit forced, so that was a down from me now today. Now, I have to give another down, I'm afraid, in this episode. And although I really enjoyed the way the Carvanista speaks and his interactions with Dan, with the Doctor, with Yaz. I'm sorry, but he doesn't look great. It's not just the fact that he's a giant dog, totally fine with that. It's that it's all a bit kind of messy. That's what I felt. And maybe I'm being very, very harsh here, but you know, when Dan was kind of complimenting the appearance of the Carvanista, I kind of felt like it was, hey, please like it. Please. And look, Doctor Who is of course no stranger to big rubber suits and strange things and hairy things, and it's all fine, it's all part of the fun. But we are clearly working with an incredible budget in this episode. I do feel that they could have put a little bit more work into the appliance of the Carvanista's makeup. So I'm afraid, yeah, that one is a down from me this week. Yaz gets a fairly great episode this week. So obviously, the last time we saw them, we were saying goodbye to Graham and Ryan, and it was Yaz and the Doctor travelling off together. And I think they make a fantastic team. The interplay between the two of them is really good. We still have the Doctor generally being quite aloof, but we also have Yaz who's like, no, I'm not putting up with any of this nonsense. We're friends, we're honest, and we talk to each other, but also I'm going to call you out on your nonsense. So Yaz, for me, big up of the episode was just how she interacts with the Doctor, how she carries herself, how she interacts with Dan when she's saving him from his cell. Really, really enjoyable to watch. Now, if this is going to be Yaz's final season travelling in the TARDIS, which of course is possible, we all know that a big change is coming for Doctor Who soon, I hope we get more episodes like this, where she has so much to do. She is such a strong central character in the episode. I do hope she doesn't get sidelined at all, but based off this first episode, I think it's a good start for Yaz this season. Now, once the Doctor and Yaz land on Earth in Liverpool, just outside Anfield, well hey, they are confronted by Claire, who has run up going, oh, the Doctor, you're here. And of course they're like, who are you? Because Claire is meeting them out of order. Strong evocation of River Song, you know, but then there is a fantastic line drop that we all recognize, and Claire says, it's all right, I'm just taking the long way home. Up, straight away, girl in the fireplace, and the Doctor's disjointed meetings of people through time. Absolutely, I mean, it was like, oh yes, oh, I like that. After the Doctor and Yaz then leave Claire, we realize why she's a bit out of time, because she's being confronted by the Weeping Angel. While they were slightly overused during Moffat's era, the Weeping Angels remain one of the scariest Doctor Who villains of certainly since the revival. And I have next to no criticisms here either. I mean, they look perfect and still genuinely scary. You really feel that tension and that menace as Claire is trying to get back into her house. She's trying to get the key into the door lock, and the angel's getting closer and closer and closer. And she does make it inside, but only just over the threshold before she is zapped back in time. I have one issue, and it is a down. We see her getting zapped, and then the angel is standing there covering their face like this. Why? Who's looking at the angel to freeze it into stone? That's the one issue I have with this scene. The scene overall, generally really, really good, really, really tense, but I do have to down that because it's been established that we are seeing the angel through Claire's eyes, which is how the angel's able to move every time Claire looks away. Okay, Claire has gone back in time, angel is stood there, quantum locked into stone. Had the two of them disappeared at that point, I think that would have been a stronger end of the scene. So, tiny little bit of a disappointing ending to that scene, but overall, great introduction to Claire, no idea who she is, no idea how she knows the Doctor, really looking forward to seeing more of her. Now, we get plenty of absolutely gorgeous visuals in this episode. Those on themselves are getting an up from me. I mean, they've clearly thrown everything in the kitchen sink at this episode to make sure it sticks the landing. It's absolutely brilliant. Now, we have obviously everything that's going on with the TARDIS. We have the swarm itself, which is floating through the universe, being observed by Jacob Anderson's character and his observation station Rose. Come on, that's definitely a shout out to the lovely Rose Tyler. But I mean, this is proper scary. You know, that doesn't look very pleasant at all. It's because it looks so good that it works for me. We see planets folding in on themselves. We see poor old Rose folded in on itself. Now, thankfully, Jacob Anderson gets away toward the end, but there is definitely a sense of pure menace here. The Doctor even manages to fire some vortex energy at the swarm. She's like, yeah, cool, there we go. doesn't even make a dent. That's slightly worrying. The whole Loopari Fleet looks incredible as well, especially when they enclose planet Earth in that protective shield. Looks brilliant. The Sontaran ship, welcome return for that design, looking brilliant as well. So overall, the look of this episode, absolutely wonderful. And again, hopefully we'll see that now across each of the 6 episodes of this season. Now, while I did criticize obviously Carvanista's look, really enjoyed him as a character. However, there's one issue with the reveal of the Loopari in this. Now, I love the play on dogs are man's best friend, and that for every Loopari, they are effectively soul bonded to a person on Earth. Great, okay. So once they get the news that Earth is going to be destroyed by this swarm, then where have the Loopari been before? So I mean, amazing plans, 7 billion ships flying through the space to make sure that they enclose the planet before the Flux destroys Earth. Great, okay, the ships have been designed to withstand anything, great, okay. This is how we get Dan, great, okay. Where were they during literally any one of the Doctor's previous adventures? It's set up to be such a, we will always be there, that's what we do, the Loopari will always look after humans. But they really haven't. They've been very bad at their job. And for me, that was a down, to make such a big point of it this week, but really not have that ever have been established in Doctor Who before. I mean, good idea, but don't be like, hey, that's our big buddies, the Loopari, who've always been you've always seen them now, they've just been out of frame. They've just been out of frame, yeah, but they've been there. A little bit not great for me now this week, I'm afraid. Having said that, the actual battalion of the Loopari itself, that's enough for me. Again, as I say, I love that big massive sphere encompassing the Earth. But also, not to be forgotten, love the return of the Sontarans. That's an up from me. And the redesigned look and how they interact. He's like, you look disgusting. Positive vile. Yes, well, let's not dwell. Oh, it's very, very funny. I have to say, I really, really enjoyed them. Now, we only get the Sontarans for barely 60 seconds in this episode, but considering next week's episode is going to be all about the Sontarans fighting in the Crimean War, despite how much they really just enjoy, they're just going to have a great time. Anyway, love the Sontarans. Particularly enjoyed them during this scene. I thought it was really funny, a really, really good interplay. And there is also a very welcome return in this episode, and it's the Cloister Bell. Up from me. Universe is in peril, yeah, you ring that bell. And I love the look on the Doctor's face as they hear the Cloister Bell and they're like, uh-oh, this is not good. So overall, I think a strong first episode to the season, lots of questions, lots of talk about the division. We have been promised that the events of the Timeless Child are going to be, if not resolved, then certainly addressed in this season, which I think is fantastic. It's too big of a plot hole to not discuss this. The Swarm obviously knows the Doctor from back in the day, so we have to see how they know each other and why the Doctor doesn't remember the Swarm. We need to see more about why the Swarm's sister was in that other form in a house in the Arctic Circle, and then we just need to get to know what is going on, what is the Flux, what's happening, where does Jacob Anderson's character fit into all of this. So many questions from the first episode. It wasn't too exposition-y. I didn't feel like I was being beaten over the head with everything. There were a ton of questions, but not so much so that it spoiled the enjoyment of the episode. Overall, I think the Halloween Apocalypse, really, really good start to this season, and let's hope that the rest continues to stay up to this standard. So that's everything for our list today, guys. If you think I missed anything, please drop it into the comments below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, you can catch us over on Twitter at WhoCulture. You can catch myself at Sean Ferrick and all the various socials as well. Until I see you again, you look after yourselves, you keep things wibbly wobbly, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.